لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. أما بعد, we continue inshallah ta'ala with the rulings of Hajj, this pillar of Islam, that it's mandatory for every Muslim to do it once in lifetime if they are capable to do that. And briefly, what we talked before is about the Hajj in general from the beginning to the end, and what is the meaning of al-istita'a, when is it mandatory for a person to make Hajj, having the means to take the person to the Mecca and come back, and the provisions for such a person, and also for his family's provision. And we talked about the journey from the beginning to the end, and then yesterday we talked about the pillars of al-Hajj and the wajibat, or the obligations of Hajj. And we said that the importance of this is that if a person misses something, because it's only one time it's an obligation. Hajj is specific days, and once the days are over, a person might miss the whole Hajj, like Arafah for example. So it's important to know the arkan and the wajibat, the pillars and the obligatory acts in Hajj, for that purpose, not to pick and choose and to say I would do the pillars and then the wajibat I can miss them and I can give them instead. No, it's obligations. That means if a person misses it intentionally, he's committing a sin. So the pillars and obligations should be done in the most perfect way, and also doing the recommended acts, and it's only few days. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِي أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَةٍ, make remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in counted days. As Shaykh Ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to say that to the people when they are in Hajj. Usually when people in Hajj, in the first or second day that they are in, or in Mina, they go through the struggle and the crowdedness and the tiredness and the heat and all kinds of things. He would tell them, it's only a few days and it will be over. When you think about it this way, it's only a few days and it will be over. Be patient, it's okay. Be patient with people, with the heat, with the crowdedness. It will be all over. Some people, they can't take it and they just start ruining their Hajj by arguments, by screaming, by complaining, and not focusing on the purpose of Hajj, which is one of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that people go through struggle. And that's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam called it the jihad of women. So jihad is struggle, and he called the Hajj jihad for women. That means men supposed to be tougher than that, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and to be busy thinking and having the khushu' and contemplate and ponder over the ayat and the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not always something that a person would find himself inclined to. You would do things when you don't feel like doing it. Why? Because you are a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do it, and you would do it. And you would do things that you don't know why you're doing it this way. Why? Because we're slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, the rulings in the deen of Islam, everything has a wisdom behind it. This is the most perfect way of life, to give us the best life in this life and in the hereafter. But the Hajj, a person would train himself that he would apply the deen of Islam regardless whether he knows the wisdom of or not. Why? Because you see yourself doing things that you don't know what's the wisdom behind it. The wisdom behind it is for you to be a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a slave would listen and obey. Would not ask his master, why you want me to do this? What's the wisdom behind it? He would just apply the order. He understands that he works for his master, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of all things. And it's not like the slavery which has a negative meanings to it. This is the ultimate freedom in this life, when a person is free from any form of ubudiyyah to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be abd to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. The pillars we said, there are 4. So let's review them, just the titles of it. The first one is, to be precise, al-ihram, just al-ihram. And the second one, the wuquf bi-Arafah, to stand in Arafah. And the time of it, as far as the rukn is concerned, from the Dhuhr time of the 9th of the Hijjah all the way to the Fajr, the Rukn. That means, as we said yesterday in the Hadith, someone missed it, unintentional, something happened, he missed to be there during the day. Does he misses the Hajj? The Hajj is over? No, it's not over. He can still go to Arafah at night time after sunset of the 9th, as long as he would pass by Arafah and stay in Arafah even for a short while, and then go to Muzdalifah and pray Fajr in Muzdalifah. The evidence of that is the hadith of Urwa ibn Mudarris radiallahu anhu. When he did that, he missed, and he came to the Prophet ﷺ in Muzdalifah at Fajr time. And he asked the Prophet ﷺ what to do. The Prophet ﷺ told them, "Man shahida salatana hadi," whoever witnessed our salat now, which is Salatul Fajr, and had stood in Arafah laylan aw naharan, whether it's during the day or during the night, فَقَدْ أَتَمَّ حَجَّهُ وَقَضَى تَفَثَهُ, which means he had completed his Hajj. This is again not what a Muslim would choose. This is in case of emergency. And this is the Rukn, as far as the Rukn is concerned, which is different than the Wajib. What's the Wajib? Let me go to the Wajib to make it a little bit confusing. It's not confusing anything. What's the Wajib in Arafah? If a person, about Arafah. If a person
enters into after Dhuhr, then he should leave before sunset.
No, if a person enters Arafah after Dhuhr, which is what normally Arafah is, then it's not permissible for him to leave the sunset. If he leaves before sunset, then he has to do them, right? But his Hajj will be complete, but this is a sinful act if he do it intentionally. So this is the difference between the Wajib and the Rukn. So going back to the Rukn, Al-Wuquf bi-Arafah is a Rukn, is a pillar of Al-Hajj. That means if you misses it, you miss Hajj totally. There's no way to make it up. Number 3 is Tawaf al-Ifadah, Tawaf of Al-Hajj. And it's time from, as far as the Rukn is concerned, not the most recommended act, but the Rukn is from the middle of the night of the 10th, the night of the 10th, which means after the day of the 9th, and then the night of the 10th, the night before the Eid. That's where it starts, the Tawaf al-Ifadah, till no limit to it. But the person will be in state of Ihram unless he would do the Tawaf, meaning the second Tahallul. Number 4, Sa'i, between Safa and Marwa, which is linked to the Tawaf of Al-Hajj. And we talked about that yesterday. And then the Wajibat, we said 7 obligatory acts Wajib. And what Wajib means, if a person misses it, it does not ruin the Hajj, but the person has to do a dam instead, the expiation for it. If it's missed intentionally, it's a sinful act and he has to do dam. If it's unintentional, over the power of a person, then there's not a sinful act, but he still has to do the dam and expiation for missing this obligation. What are these 7 obligations very quickly? The first one, Al-Ihramu min al-Miqat. Ihram alone was pillar. Forgive me for repeating because it's good to remember that. The pillar is Ihram, right? And Al-Wajib is to make the Ihram from the Miqat, right? So that if a person passes the Miqat without Ihram, he misses the Wajib. If he cannot go back, his Hajj is still valid. He can make Ihram after he passed the Miqat, but he missed the Wajib. He has to make them. But Hajj has to have an Ihram, which is the pillar. So the Wajib is to make Ihram from the Miqat. The second one, to stay in Arafah. This was the second one in order, right? Yes, to stay in Arafah till sunset, if a person enters after Dhuhr. And number 3, to spend the night in Muzdalifah. Half of the night at least. This is Wajib. Half of the night in Muzdalifah, a person has to spend the night in Muzdalifah. The women and the elders, they can leave after the middle of the night. Number 4, Al-Mabit bi-Mina, to spend the nights in Mina. Which nights? The nights of the 11th. And when we say the nights of the 11th, we mean what? Tomorrow is the 11th. The next day is the 11th. So the night comes before the day. So the nights of the 11th,
12th.
the night of the 12th. Right? This is what's mandatory. If a person makes ta'ajjul, then in the 12th day, after throwing the Jamrah, he has to leave Mina before sunset. If he chooses to stay, and sunset comes on the 12th, then it's mandatory for that person to stay for the 13th of the Hijjah. That means to spend the night of the 13th, and it's mandatory also to throw the Jamarat in the 13th. So that's why number 5 is Rami al-Jamar, to throw the Jamarat. This is Wajib. Altogether is one Wajib. And if a person misses in one day, unintentional and so on, we're not among those who would just seek excuses and take the easy way for Hajj. Again, it's few days. Allah knows best when a person would do that again, or if it's the first one and you're fulfilling a whole pillar of Islam, few days. So we should not take the easy way out if we have the means. So if a person misses one, then he can make it up the next day. And the last time is the 13th at Maghrib time. Before that or after that, it's Hajj is over, and the person cannot throw the jamarat, cannot do anything. He has then done if he misses it. Number 6, al-halq or taqsir, to shave the head or to shorten the head. And what is best is to shave, because the Prophet ﷺ made dua 3 times for those who shave and 1 time for those who shorten the head. And for men, shortening the head is not taking some hair, with a scissor, shortening the head as if you go to the barber, right? You shorten the whole head. Shaving does not work with the machine, even if it's 0. Has to be with the razor. So the machine, that's not shaving, that's shortening, right? The machine does not shave, the machine shortens. Even if you look close to being shaved, but this is not shaving, it has to be with the razor, right? So this is with shaving. Number 7, tawaf al-wada. The farewell tawaf, this is wajib. Wajib except for women in menses. A woman in her menses, she doesn't have to make tawaf al-wada. She can leave. And no dam on her, nothing. Right? But the woman in her menses, can she misses the rukn, which is tawaf al-ifada? No way, because it's a rukn. So rukn, that means no exception. No exception. She has to make it. Menses, she has to wait till she's clean, and then she has to make tawaf al-wada, tawaf al-ifada, tawaf al-hajj. What if she has to leave and she lives far away distance and people are leaving and there's no way for her to miss her flight and so on, and it's that emergency and there's no way for her to come back and so on? That in that case, that's why all of these things is very important to be mentioned. Only in that case, the fatwa of the ulama, from Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and Shaykh Ibn Baz and Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah and others, is that in that case, then she should wrap herself good and make tawaf, and there is no sin on her, there is no harm if she does this. But only in this case, not before she travels by 2-3 days and she thinks, oh well, the period will continue anyway, so let me do it now. No, to make it the last thing, and she has no chance to come back. So for example, if she lives in Riyadh, for example, in Saudi Arabia, and she has to leave, then she leaves, and she's still in her state of al-ihram. She come back after a few days, after a week, after a month, whatever. Then that's no excuse here in this case, unless she is very sick or old or whatever. So every case has to be weighed with its limitations, and that's why people should ask the people of knowledge. So these are the 7 wajibat. We said, inshallah ta'ala, today we'll talk about some of the things that we mentioned in some details. We talked about the ihram, right? And the mahdurat of al-ihram, the things that are forbidden for a person in state of al-ihram to do. And when we're talking about rituals or ahkam, we have to always think also the wisdom behind things, and how things that are permissible for us becomes haram for us at a certain time. And why is all of this? It's because of the sanctity of Mecca, right? The house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you cannot pass the miqat without ihram. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored this place. So when this place is so honored, then it's not a place of arguments and raising voices and fighting and screaming and committing sins and exposing oneself and not wearing proper hijab and intermingle and all these types of things. This is a place that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored so much that you cannot pass the miqat unless you are in state of ihram, and things that are permissible for you becomes haram for you, and so on. So and also the many meanings, of course, but to remember the reality of this life, that we are nothing, that we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are not all of that we think we are. And we all look the same. At the end, 2 sheets are wrapped around the person, head is exposed, there's no sign of richness or someone is higher than the other, and they don't look very decent. After a while, dusty, uncombed hair, and then they even shave that, so they all look, if they go to an interview like that, most probably, they won't be accepted. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the best individual ever. That's why this is another important thing. Not what people think is good. It's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. So as we said, Mecca is not the most beautiful city scenery-wise is for people to be there, but this is the most virtuous place on earth. When a person is in ihram and he is uncalmed and so on, this is the best state that a person can be in. When a person is fasting and he has his mouth with the smell that you would have because of no food, this is the smell of that is like the smell of musk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it means what? It means we should be focused more on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and forget about what people like and this and that. If it's opposing, of course, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us, it's not to be ignored completely, because we live in environments we should honor one another, we should not harm one another. And that's why when you come to the masjid, it's forbidden for someone that ate garlic or onion to come to the masjid and so on. So we witnessing these types of things. And because of the time, then we talk about al-tawaf. We talked about tawaf in its position. Tawaf al-ifada, tawaf al-wada', there is tawaf al-qudum, which is tawaf al-umrah for those who are making umrah, or tawaf al-qudum for those who are making hajj qiran or hajj ifrad. Right? So when you enter Mecca, you have to make tawaf. First thing that you make tawaf. It's okay if you want to take your bags to rest, if you're extremely tired, but you stay in the ihram, but then you have to make your tawaf. So more than one tawaf. And you can make tawaf without nusuk. You can make tawaf without being in hajj or umrah. Nusuk meaning that you are in hajj or umrah. Tawaf can be done, a normal ibadah. And the only place on earth that people permissible for them, or it's an ibadah to make tawaf around, is the Kaaba in Mecca. Right? So if we hear somebody's making tawaf somewhere else, this is wal-'iyadu billah, either shirk, associating partners with Allah, and they go around some graves sometimes, or innovation in the religion, or whatever it is. The only place on earth, and that's why when a person goes to Mecca, you are making an ibadah that you would not be able to do it anywhere else in the whole world. You can make salah anywhere, any place, but you cannot make tawaf except in Kaaba, in Mecca. So this is such an important thing. So, and a person doesn't have to be in the nusuk, but the sa'i between the Safa and Marwa, can you do that on your free time? You finished Umrah, you finished Hajj, then you just make some sa'i. No, sa'i has to be in nusuk. You have to be in Hajj or Umrah. Do you have to be in ihram? Full ihram? No, you don't. In Umrah you have to. In Umrah, you make tawaf and sa'i in ihram. And then you shave your head, or in Hajj al-Tamattu' you would shorten so that you can shave in Hajj, right? And then you can relieve yourself from al-ihram. But when you're doing Hajj, if in the 10th of the Hijjah, if you throw the Jamrah and you shave your head, right? Then you can change your clothes. You're not fully relieved from the ihram because you didn't make the tawaf yet, but you can wear your clothes, you can put perfume on and so on. Everything becomes permissible except one thing, which is women. Right? So you can make them tawaf and sa'i with your clothes. You won't have ihram clothes on. Right? But sa'i you have to be in the nusuk, and you're still in the nusuk. You're still performing hajj. But after finishing hajj, a person wants to make sa'i, there's no such a thing. So the tawaf. When we talk about tawaf, what tawaf means? It's to go around the Kaaba. And as any ibadah, it has certain conditions to it. One of which is the intentions. Hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Right? You have to have intentions. If a person is walking, looking for somebody, entered the haram, and he's looking for someone, right? And it's confusing for him where that person is, and he kept moving with the crowd, and he found himself in the same spot. Does he count that as one shoot in the tawaf and say, oh, I made one, I mean six left? No, that's not tawaf. He has to have the intentions, and the intentions is in the heart. Nothing to be said with the tongue. Right? Intention and niyyah, amalun qalbi. It's an act done by the heart. The tongue has nothing to do with intentions. Right? And that's why the importance of this, that we have to separate between the acts of worship done by the heart, done by the tongue, and done by the different parts of the body. Can a person recite Quran with his hand? With the sign language? You can explain it to people, but would that person be considered reciting? No, unless his tongue moves. What if he's mute? Whatever he's looking, right, and he's doing it to himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful, yes. But the recitation of the Quran is dhikr. It's an ibadah done by the tongue, not by the hand. So when we say niyyah is ibadah done by the heart, not by the tongue. So the niyyah is in the heart. So the person, niyyah is that he's making tawaf ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another condition that a person has to cover his awrah, like a person is in salah. And of course for men to be covered. And when we talk about tawaf al-qudum or tawaf al-umrah, right? This is when a person would make the ramal and the right shoulder will be exposed in the tawaf for men, right? This is not in the tawaf of al-hajj. This is not at all times when a person is wearing ihram. When you expose your right shoulder, it's only in the tawaf when you first come to Mecca. For umrah, if you're making hajj tamattu', or for the first tawaf if you're making hajj qiran, hajj and umrah together, or hajj al-ifrad. This has a reason for it. When the Prophet ﷺ went and the mushrikeen, they said the Muslims are weak and so on. The Prophet ﷺ ordered them to do that, and they do the ramal, in which they would basically jog in the first 3 rounds to show them that they are not sick, because they said they were afflicted by the sickness of al-Madinah. So that stayed. It wasn't just for that incident. It stayed till the Day of Judgment as part of the ruling of the tawaf. This is only for men. Women, they don't do that. Some women you would find them running, there is no running for women, right? So men would do that only for tawaf al-umrah or tawaf al-qudum, to expose the right shoulder. And once they finish the tawaf al-umrah or tawaf al-qudum, then they should cover the shoulder. But to stay the whole time with the right shoulder exposed, this is against the sunnah. A person should cover both shoulders. So after the tawaf, when you pray the 2 rak'ah behind maqam Ibrahim, your 2 shoulders should be covered, and then after that. But first we say satr al-awrah, to cover the awrah, and this is mentioned in the tawaf. Why? Because the mushrikeen, they used to make tawaf without clothes on, and they would say that these clothes we committed sins in. So how can we make tawaf, as they think that this is a way to honor the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how shaitan can deceive the person, thinking that he is doing a good deed, and that's why we just follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do. Purity al-tahara is a condition for tawaf. Why? Because tawaf is like salah. And the Prophet ﷺ said that in the authentic hadith recorded by Nasa'i and others, الطواف بالبيت صلاة إلا أن الله أحل فيه المنطق فمن نطق فيه فلا ينطق إلا بخير. Which means الطواف is like salah. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said. Except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it permissible for us to speak. And if any one of you speak, he should only speak what is khayr. Right? So if a person speaks, that does not invalidate the tawaf. It validates the salah, but not the tawaf. But should a person then have a walk with his friend or with his wife and just talk about whatever they want to talk about, this is not definitely a respectful way to make tawaf. But if a person needs to say something and a person has to watch what he says, then this is permissible. Of course, reading Quran, making dhikr, making dua, not just a specific dhikr. There's no specific dhikr for the tawaf. People reading from books, the first short you say this, second you say this. Even if it's a mean to help the people to be busy with dhikr, that's against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The deen is easy. People make it difficult for themselves. Just whatever comes from the heart. If a person says subhanallah from the first walk in the tawaf till the end, mashallah, this is a great ibadah. Everybody knows how to say subhanallah. People can make dua. There are many needs people have. People can say ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Although this dua specifically, which is from the sunnah, is to be said only in one side of the Kaaba, which is from Rukn al-Yamani till the Hajar al-Aswad. And the Rukn al-Yamani meaning that it's pointing to al-Yaman, pointing south, which is the corner right before the Hajar al-Aswad, the last round around the Kaaba. This is where you say ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. The rest, you just make dua, you read Quran. Person doesn't know Quran, read Surah Al-Fatiha. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Busy with the dhikr and the dua of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But to confuse others and to raise one's voice, and they think that this is a way to help others, this is disturbing others. Right? When people have this protest mentality, as if they are protesting in the tawaf, in which a person should be calm and should make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, tahara, to be in state of purity. If someone breaks his wudu in the tawaf, then ideally that means he has to go make wudu and come back, start from the beginning. not to complete what he did. Has to start from the beginning, right? There is a fatwa of, which is an authentic fatwa from the ulama, if it's extremely crowded and a person would not be able to do it, to go back and with a person with a certain condition, right? And if he goes and he makes wudu and come back, he would probably break his wudu again because it's a long period of time, older person, something like that. Then in that case, a person can make the tawaf even if something happens. But not normally for someone that is healthy and he broke his wudu, then he has to make wudu and repeat the tawaf again.
The whole tawaf or just this round?
The whole tawaf, 7 rounds. The 7 rounds has to be in tahara. The sa'i, you don't have to have tahara. Sa'i between Safa and Marwa is outside the masjid. You don't have to be in tahara for the sa'i. But the tawaf, you have to be in tahara. Another condition, you have to finish the 7 rounds, starting from Al-Hajj al-Aswad, and you make the house of Allah on your left, right? So 7 rounds from the Hajj al-Aswad. So if you enter from any door and it was before the Hajj al-Aswad, and you walk with the people, this is not tawaf till you reach the Hajj al-Aswad, and this is where you start. This is as far as the condition of the tawaf to be valid. 7. Can a person after Hajj or Umrah or whatever sitting, going making tawaf 2 rounds like this? That's not considered ibadah. It's like when you make salah, you make 2 rak'ah. So tawaf means 7 rounds at all times. It has to be 7 to finish the tawaf. And also one of the conditions, al-muwalama al-ashwaq, which means that you should not stop in the middle for a long period of time, unless it's time for the salah. Then you stop for the salah and you continue from the same spot. No harm. If salatul janaza, yes, no harm. You stop for salatul janaza and you continue from the same spot. If a person stopped to rest, no harm, but not a long period of time, as if you stop the tawaf and you're busy with something else and then you continue, no. So it should be all together, unless there is a period of time a person stops for a reason, for a valid reason, then it's okay to continue. But this is important to make the 7 together. What is recommended in the tawaf, of course you start from the Hajj al-Aswad, from the black stone, and if a person is capable of kissing it, definitely this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And Umar radiallahu anhu, when he said, I know that your stone does not benefit, does not cause harm, but because I saw the Prophet ﷺ kissing you, I kiss you. So this is what the Muslim do, following the way of the Prophet ﷺ. If he's not able to kiss it, then to touch it if he's able to do that. If he's not able to touch it, then to point to it with the right hand and to say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, right? And then to start the tawaf. And should a person fight with others to reach the Hajj al-Aswad to touch it or to kiss it? No, because it's not permissible to harm a Muslim. Is it permissible for women to go in the midst of all men and pushing them and getting her way to kiss the Hajj al-Aswad because it's a virtuous state? She's committing a sin. To do something that is recommended, and we said that al-Hajj al-Mabrur, the righteous Hajj is the Hajj that has no sin. This is when a person would, as the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ لَهُ جَزَاءٌ إِلَّا جَنَّةٌ. There's no reward but Jannah. Aisha radiallahu anha, when a woman came to her and she told her, entering on her, very happy, and she said that she kissed the black stone, thinking that Aisha radiallahu anha would praise her. MashaAllah. Aisha radiallahu anha, she told her, لا أجرك الله. May Allah don't give you rewards. تزاحمين الرجال. You're you're pushing men. You're going into the crowd of men to do that. May Allah doesn't give you reward. So opposite to what that woman thought, that Aisha would be proud of her, because Aisha she understood the meanings of things. So a woman, and also men should not fight with others, should not hurt others, but women should make tawaf away from men as much as she can, of course with her mahram and so on, but not to put herself in a position where she's pushed by men and so on. Also one of these sunnah is to istilam al-rukn al-yamani, right? When you come to the rukn al-yamani, which is the last corner before the Hajj al-Aswad, it's from the sunnah to istilam, meaning that you touch it. That's it. There's no dhikr, there's no saying Bismillah Allahu Akbar, there's nothing. Just to touch it. The Prophet ﷺ used to do that. If you're not able to do that, there's no pointing to it. Many people would come by the rukn al-yamani and they do this. This is only to the Hajj al-Aswad. Right? The rukn al-yamani, the only thing that is recommended, if you are close to it, right, then you touch it. If you don't, then there's nothing. You just Once you get there, you start saying ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. You would see all kinds of things that people do, but this is the way of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. Also, as we said, استلام الحجر الأسود, to kiss the black stone and so on. Number 3, الاضطباع والرمل. الاضطباع is to expose the right shoulder for the طواف العمرة or القدوم. And الرمل is to have fast steps. It's not running, right? And it's not sprint running, right? It's not that you do very short steps. You make your steps very close to each other, and you jog basically, right? And your body is moving. If it's crowded, some people they start jumping in a spot. There's no such a thing, right? If there's space, you do it. If there's no space, you walk, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for you. A question: is it better to be close to the Kaaba when it's crowded and you don't make the ramal, you don't do it fast, right? Or it's better to do it far away, and there's no second and third floor this year, right? Because of the construction anyway. But if you do it far away and you can do the ramal, which one is more recommended? The first case is to be closer to the Kaaba is more recommended, right? So, as the ulama they say. And then after that also, to say ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. This is what the Prophet ﷺ used to say. As the hadith of Abdullah ibn Sa'id, he heard the Prophet ﷺ بين ركنين, between the two corners, he would say that. From the sunnah of a tawaf, to make the 2 rak'ah after it. To make 2 rak'ah after the tawaf, this is from the sunnah. It's not a mandatory thing, but it's from the recommended acts. Not to be missed, of course. And not to be, it's too crowded and we miss it. Don't miss it. Do the 2 rak'ah. And the best place is behind the maqam of Ibrahim. Right? But any place is valid, especially in times of Hajj. There's no way a person in the time of crowdedness that he would do that. And if a person thinks that he can do it and abuse others, this is not permissible whatsoever. And that's why when Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah was asked about someone making the 2 rak'ah behind maqam Ibrahim in Hajj when it's very crowded, should people pass in front of him or not? He said, La karama. No honor for him. That person, no honor for him. He's abusing the people. Why? Because the tawaf has priority than the salah. That's why if people are asked to move, they should honor that. They should move because of the tawaf. When the tawaf becomes crowded, people sitting after Fajr, for example, making dhikr, and they want to enjoy being close to the Kaaba and looking at the Kaaba and so on. But the tawaf becomes crowded, and you find those who are in authority saying for people to go back or to move because the tawaf is getting crowded. Tawaf has priority than sitting and making dhikr, for example, then salah even. Why? Because this is the only place that they can make tawaf. So we have to always watch for these types of things. The 2 rak'ah is to, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّخِذُوا مِنْ مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى, pray behind the maqam of Ibrahim, make it as a musalla. And the Prophet ﷺ would recite in the first rak'ah قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, and in the second rak'ah قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. 2 light rak'ah after the tawaf. So this is what the tawaf. The sa'i, inshallah, with the questions we'll keep it at the end, inshallah. A sa'i, to make the sa'i between the Safa and Marwa, is to start from Safa and you end by the Marwa. This is one shoot, one round. From Safa to the Marwa, this is 1. You do it also 7, then back, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you end with Al-Marwa. Not like going back and forth as 1 like somebody did before and he said it's too long. This is, I get so tired. No, it's 1 from the Safa Marwa, this is 1. So you start with the Safa, you end with Al-Marwa. And to make the sa'i in the whole area between the Safa wal Marwa, of course, not to make shortcuts or something like that before you get to the end. And the end of it doesn't have to be up the hill, as long as you reach there, right? Once it starts going up, then this is the end of it. You reach there. But before that, that's not permissible, of course. Also al-muwalat, that you finish the 7 rounds together, unless there's an excuse. It's okay for a person to sit and rest if he can't make it for a short while and then continue. But to do 3 and then go to the hotel, to relax and come back and to continue, no, then you have to start over again. So this is al-muwala. What is recommended in the sa'i is to be in tahara. It is not mandatory. To be in wudu, this is something that is recommended. And the Prophet ﷺ said to Aisha radiallahu anha to do everything in what the Hajj do except the tawaf. So the woman in her menses, she can make sa'i, but sa'i usually comes after tawaf anyway. So sa'i does not have to have in wudu. What is recommended also when a person starts going to the Safa, he would go up high a little bit, and then if there is no way, then at least to reach the Safa and to turn around to face the Kaaba, to face the Qibla, and to raise one's hand in dua, and to say La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la, lahu al-mulk wa lahu al-hamd wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, La ilaha illallah wahdah أنجز وعده ونصر عبده وهزم الأحزاب وحده. Then he would make dua, and then he would repeat the dhikr again, and then make dua, and then repeat the dhikr again, and then make dua. Prophet ﷺ used to make a long dua, right? So this is 3 times, and then he would go to the Marwa and do the same thing. So if a person just go back and forth like that, it's valid, the sa'i is completed. But what is recommended to get the great rewards, and again this is 1 sa'i maybe, or 2, is to make it like this, 3 times the dua in between of the same dhikr. And you can have a book of the authentic du'as that you can read it from if a person forgets it. Also what is recommended in the sa'i is a person walks normally, but between there is in the valley down, and they have it marked as green lights, between the 2 green lights that a person would run with short steps also. And this is one Hajar, she would also do the same thing. And the whole thing is about Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hajar and Ismail, and see how the truthfulness of them, that it continued to be to the day of judgment, repeating the same thing over again. And what kind of heart that was, that you would find millions and millions of people doing the same thing when she was alone. And she had nobody but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so to remember that. And the struggle that a person goes through, remember the struggle that they or that she went through, right? And what her state of mind, the person would make sa'i, and he is, relaxed about the drink that he would get afterwards, or the open buffet, or whatever there is that people would do. But these people, or Hajar alayhi salam, right? What the state of heart, that there's no means of life whatsoever, and her child is about to die because there's nothing with them, and how her heart would be, and putting the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is with the sa'i. With Rami al-Jimar, with throwing the jamarat, it means that you throw al-hasa, which is the small pebbles, in a certain place at a certain time. And it's the small one, the middle one, the major one. And we said it before, Jamrat al-Aqaba, which is, as they say, the major one, is the last one when you're coming from Muzdalifah, the closest to Makkah. And that is only to be done in the 10th. The 10th, only Jamrat al-Aqaba is thrown 7 times. The 11th of the Hijjah and the 12th, for those who are making ta'ajjud, for those who are staying the 13th, is to do the 3. The smaller one, the middle one, the Aqaba one, each one with 7 pebbles in that order. And the pebbles is like the chickpea, and not something that is big, and not something very small. And the Prophet ﷺ warned the people, right? And the Hadith ibn Abbas that the Prophet ﷺ told him when he was on his mount, had ulqutli. He said to Ibn Abbas, get me some pebbles. So it's okay for someone, you take some from someone else. You don't ask people, right? But it's okay if someone else give you, it's not something that you have to do yourself. فَلَقَدْتُ لَهُ حَصَيَاتٍ. He said, I took some to the Prophet ﷺ. هُنَّ حَصَى الْخَذْفِ. حَصَى الْخَذْفِ is the game when they would put the pebble and they shoot to the goal, right? So it has to be not too big that it would fit between the 2 fingers to do it like this. And the Prophet ﷺ, of course, forbade someone of doing this. Why? Because it won't hurt an enemy, and it might poke someone's eyes, right? So again, this is what calls hasa al-khadf. So when he put it in the hands of the Prophet ﷺ, he told him like this, and then the Prophet ﷺ told him, وإياكم والغلو في الدين فإنما أهلك من كان قبلكم الغلو في الدين. Prophet ﷺ told them, be warned from al-ghulu, from extremism. That a person would do extremism in this or anything. Prophet ﷺ made it general, because this is what destroyed the nations before you. Extremism is not what we think or what is according to the 21st century or whatever time or place. It's according to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. What's more than that, it's extremism. What's less than that is another form of extremism. And the proper way, the middle course, is the way of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the easiest way at all times. And you'd find people making it difficult for themselves when the deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy. But made it easy, the deen made it easy. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the deen easy. Not to leave the deen is easy. No, the deen itself. Easy meaning that you can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's the purpose of our life. We talked about the time for them, right? For Jamrat al-Aqaba starts from the middle of the night of the 10th, and you have till the last day. If you missed it, you can do it the next day. For the 11th and the 12th and the 13th, the 11th does not start till Dhuhr time. Does not start before that. So if you schedule to do it before Dhuhr, do it before Dhuhr, do it from Dhuhr and up. If you misses it, if you cannot do it during the day, then do it during the night. So it's okay to do it late, but it's not okay to do it early. So the 11th, if you missed it the whole day, then you can come the next day and make it up if it's an emergency, but not to do it early. Same thing for the 12th. Same thing for the 13th. Those who are making ta'ajjul, and because of the business, right, they have their plane in the night of the 12th and they have to be in Jeddah. So they would tell the people, the fatwa is that you will throw the jamarat after Fajr on the 12th, because the buses would leave and you have no chance. Right? And they make people so much unease in this, which is not permissible whatsoever for those who are in charge of these trips, and they should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in that case, if a person misses his plane, and it's going to be extremely difficult for him, right? And again, with these conditions, with these clauses like this, if it's going to be extremely difficult, it's not something that he chose, and that's why people should ask before they choose a package, or they ask what is the details of the program and so on, and when is the flight back and so on, things like this. But if it's something happened and he has no capacity to change it whatsoever, then in that case, maybe he has no sin, inshallah ta'ala, but he has to do dam on that person, because he would miss the jamarat, and it's not permissible to let someone else do it on his behalf, because he has to be present. So this starts in the zawal time or the dhuhr time. How to throw the jamarat is, you get closer as much as you can. Now it's easy, alhamdulillah. And sometimes people, they, I don't know, get scared or whatever, they do it from far away distance. They don't know if they get it in or not. It has to go in there. It doesn't have to hit the marma, it doesn't have to hit the wall, but as long as it goes down there. So the way to do this is be patient. When you go there, don't just hit for what you see the jamarat. Be patient, walk with the crowd, take a bigger circle and go inside. It doesn't have to be from the tip of it. It can be in the middle, can be in the end of it, and it becomes so stretched now, it's so easy. So that you go very close, you can even do it like this. Right? And the way to do it is to raise your hand. You cannot do it like that. It's not like this. It's not all of them one time and then you leave. Right? It's one by one, and you say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Right? And sometimes people, they have a whole bunch, so the third one, they finish the 7. But they have more, right? Either they do it all together or they enjoy. No, it's only 7, 7, 7. And the Prophet ﷺ said this was done, meant for it to make dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not about shaitan. It's not about beating the shaitan. There's no evidence whatsoever in the hadith that you are beating the shaitan. Yes, maybe the wisdom behind it that Ibrahim a.s. was going after the shaitan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But this is a ritual of Hajj that has been established in Hajj for the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're walking and you're going and you're making dhikr and you're saying Allahu Akbar. It's not an easy, not a little task to say Allahu Akbar. This is a major thing. So for the body to move and to go to that specific place, Allahu Akbar there is not like Allahu Akbar anywhere else. Because this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to do. And the dua, and the way to do it, again, is to, the 3 of them, is to say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. And after you finish the minor jamra, you stand on its right. So you're going in front of the jamarat. You're going like this, ideally, because sometimes they move the crowd, so you don't have a choice. But ideally, this is what the Prophet ﷺ did. he would go to make the jamrah or the right one, the first one on his right side, and he would throw from that side, right? He would have it on his right side and he would throw it like this. And then he would pass it and go to the right of it. You with me? He would pass it and go to the right of it, and he would face the Qibla alayhi salatu wasalam and make a long dua, as long as Surah Al-Baqarah. Take your time. This is the time of dhuhr. Ideally, if a person is alone without women, he has the means, then he should do that. And he did pray dhuhr yet, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he would go to the right and make a long dua. And then he would go from that side straight till he reached the middle jamrah. Now he's opposite to what he did in the small jamrah. So he would throw the jamrah, the middle one, from that other side. That means the jamrah will be on his left side, opposite to what the smaller jamrah is. So he threw 7, and then after he passed it, he would go all the way to the left this time, right? Opposite to what he did in the small one. So you go all the way to the left and face the Qibla and make dua, a long dua. And then you go in the same direction till he reaches the final one, the major one, and he would throw it. It will be on his right side, and Kaaba or Mecca would be on his left side, right? So he would throw it like this 7 times, and there's no dua afterwards. Then you go back. Clear? This is the ideal. If a person do it any direction, there's no harm, right? But this is the ideal situation. If a person has the means, then definitely this is a good way to do it like this. Is it permissible to have someone else to throw on your behalf? It's permissible if a person cannot do it. But nowadays, it is easy for everybody to do it. Everyone. And if people can go in wheelchair or whatever, if they're not able to do it the first day, they can make it up the second day. So instead of having someone to throw on their behalf, then they can make it up the next day. If they cannot do it the first day, they can make up the jamarat. So it can be also made up. This is with the jamarat. So this is briefly some of the things that people will do at Hajj, and maybe we should leave the time whatever is left for questions. Is it clear? And I'm assuming that people have been with us from the day before yesterday. So we talked about the journey from the beginning to the end. So if you're just here today, maybe it doesn't fit together. But we talked about the whole thing from the beginning to the end. And to say it and to hear it is one thing, but to experience it is another thing. And that's why choosing the company that a person is with, and asking, of course, the people of knowledge at all things that a person do, and making sure that you ask. This is what the Sahaba did with the Prophet ﷺ in Hajj. And to be patient and to make a decision from the very beginning that the person will be patient and busy with the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for those who are going and to accept the Hajj, and to make it easy for those who didn't go that they would be able to go. And there is substitution, or it's fair to say that, for those who didn't go for Hajj. There are things to be done for those who do not go for Hajj, different deeds, and of course we're approaching the first 10 days of the Hajj, the best days of the whole dunya is the first 10 days of the Hijjah, with the ibadah and the fasting and the charity and all kinds of good deeds. If you have any questions, please do. Related, of course, to the topic. And if the sisters they have anything, you can send the paper also.
يرتدي الحزام يعني to wear the belt, is
No.
You see the belt
Right.
instead of keep your passports maybe. Is it?
Wearing the belt in Ihram, is it permissible to keep your passport and so on, this famous belt with the Ihram and the zippers and everything? It's okay, so they say. Because what is forbidden is a makhit, something that is being made to fit your body. If a person is wearing a belt for to show off, for example, that's not permissible. But who would do this? It usually has a reason. That is to keep one's valuable things. There's no harm whatsoever, because it's not makhit in that sense.
In the Jamarat, when you're with a lot of people pushing up, going up, do you really have enough time to stand there and make long dua?
If you're in Jamarat and you have people are pushing and it's crowded, you have time to make dua, yes. And that's why you have to go away from the crowd. So when you throw the Jamrah, go all the way to the right, all the way. You would find sometimes, the police will say, move. You move a little bit and then you stand, ahead few steps. they leave people, right? Especially, it's not too crowded all the way to the sides of it. It's usually just in the middle. Or people sometimes they stand and make dua right in front of it, or just in the middle on the right, so you go all the way to the side. And a person do the best he can. If he can, and if it's extremely crowded, then we should not harm people. But at the same time, if you have the means to make a long dua, then definitely it should be done.
It's very easy now these days.
Yeah.
Three floor now.
3 floors, it's easiest.
There's a narration from some of the Sahaba, they used to make a dua during Sa'id. Is that authentic?
There is no authentic dua with regards to what to be said in the Sa'id. Allahu A'lam. Some things has been said from some of the Sahaba, Allahumma qfir warham wa anta al-azzu al-akram, or something like that. But I don't remember the authentication of it. But if a person says it, no harm. You can make anything. You can say any dua, right? But there's no specific dua that the Prophet ﷺ would say, except in the beginning and the end. Of course, you say that dhikr and you make the dua 3 times. Anything else? Okay.
Can you wear any slippers between Safa and Marwa?
Can you wear slippers between Safa and Marwa? If a person had did the acts on the 10th, that means he's not still in the state of al-haram. You understand what I'm saying? Say for example in the 10th of the Hajj, if a person didn't throw the Jamrah, right? He came from Muzdalifah straight to the Haram to make Tawaf. He didn't throw the Jamrah, he didn't shave his head, that means he's still in the state of al-haram. So he has to be in the Haram, in Tawaf and in Sa'i. No slippers, meaning covering the back of the heel, no covering the head or anything. But if a person in the 10th, he threw the jamarat and he shaved his head, then everything is permissible except women. So in that case, he can wear whatever he wants. Can you wear slippers? You can wear shoes if you want in Tawaf and Sa'i. People consider this is a major sin. But of course, you might hurt people, right? So you have to be watchful of this. You should not be a fitna for others. People would keep looking at you and say, astaghfirullah. Even if it's okay for, shoes is not haram to even make salah in shoes, right? But if somebody walks in shoes here when everybody's not, the carpet is different, makes a smell or something. So people should recognize this. But also the same thing in Tawaf and Sa'i, even because of the people do not know these rulings, you should not make it difficult for them. That means this is permissible, I can do it like that. No, you should not be a fitna for them. People coming from all over the world. Right, and if they think, they're having a new religion. But the things that people wear, like leather things to make it easy for them, no harm. If a person can't because he has a condition in his foot, then there's no harm. But it's permissible, of course, as long as there's no najasa.